Mark, you ready for
Yeah, I'm just Adrian.
Okay, cool. All right, everybody, thanks for coming out today. We all know we're here for Summer Academy 2023. This year's a little different because we've got the elementary school teachers, and now we have a high school, junior high program that we're opening. And so we just wanted to introduce ourselves, and then Hillary and Mark are going to do lots of the talking here. So my name is Taylor Sigler. I'm the Program Quality Manager at the Community Learning Centers. Little background is that I used to run Rossford Stars way back in the old building. I did that for about 2 years. Then I got promoted to the office. And I've run Summer Academy. I run Summer Academy of Stars, and then I also oversaw Summer Academy last year. So I've got lots of history with Summer Academy and Rossford. Old dogs are my babies. So it's very nice to see all the familiar faces. Go ahead.
I'm Hillary. Some of you guys have gotten emails from me already as we started the process. I'm the program administrator, so I work solely in our ESC office, but I will be kind of helping coordinate getting you guys hired with Stephanie Dyer, who we've also gotten emails from. And if you have any questions from kind of that side of things, and then we'll go over as well. We'll be going over our trainings as well today.
I'm Kaden Adams. I am the junior high and high school site coordinator, so you guys will see me around. And then some background about me was I started at VG Crim as a PA, and then was in the office as a PAL for about a couple months now, and then just got promoted to site coordinator recently.
I'm Sophia Conrad. I am the elementary site coordinator for Rossford. And I started as a PA for Rossford and Kenwood, and then went to PAL for a little bit, and then have now moved up to site coordinator.
And this is your second summer with Summer Academy. So you got to be here last year and you got to experience it all. So, yeah.
And then real quick, my name is Mark Swayville, Director of Curriculum at Rossford. So you received some emails from me. Thank you so much for signing up to do this. We've had a few changes this year, so that's why I'm never going to say it runs completely smoothly, but that's why there's been a few bumps. We were a little more strategic in who we signed up to begin with. Then we opened it up for a couple days to anybody. So let me just be the first to say things are fluid. There might be a few changes still coming, but the main structure is still there. So again, thanks everybody for doing this.
Okay.
So we're going to just kind of give some background on Summer Academy, what you guys will be doing on the day-to-day, and then kind of going through some of the folder items. From the new hire perspective, people who are brand new got an email from me that was a link to a Talent Ed application. Once you did that, then Stephanie Dyer, who does all of our new hires for the County Educational Services Center, then would be sending a checklist and kind of going through the process for fingerprints, background checks, all of those items. If you've worked for us before, then you got just an email directly from Stephanie about any documents that were needed new for this year, and all of those go through that Talent Ed portal. So if you have any questions in regards to any of the hiring process, you can either reach out to me directly or to Stephanie. She's more going to be able to help with kind of the Talent Ed logistics, and I can answer any general questions about that. As we've started the process, do people have questions? None? That's good. So we're doing something. But please don't hesitate to reach out. But we do all of those documents within that Talent Ed portal do need to be filled out in order to begin the payroll process. So make sure that you have all of those kind of in a timely manner in order to go through that timesheets and payroll. For your timesheets, we'll be doing paper timesheets. There are some in their folders. They'll be on your first day. You'll have a packet. These folders are going to actually go into your classrooms, and we'll have those as well. And we'll collect those on a weekly basis. And then it's actually a 2-week time period that the payroll goes through. So if we're starting that first session A, I marked it on here because I know that usually we get lots of questions about that. It's kind of 2 weeks behind. So the first paycheck is June 30th. And then that's if everything has, all your paperwork and that sort of stuff has gone in. If you've worked for us before, that'll be direct deposit. If you haven't worked for us before, you will select in your hiring process whether you want that mailed to you or if you want to pick up a paper check at the ESC office. And then when it's all said and done, it looks like the last check of that pay series is August 25th, if you're doing both sessions. In terms of hours, so Mark and I have met a few times as well as other administration. So today we'll be doing an hour orientation. Mark is going to talk to you a lot about the curriculum side of things, but you'll get 5 hours of prep time, not including today's hour. And then on a daily basis, your hours will be 8:30 to 12:30. So it'll be 4 hours a day for those 4 days a week, unless you're subbing or out or something like that. But kind of the standard, if you are working, you're using all of your prep time and you're working every session of A, or every day of A and B, it comes out to 130 total hours between the whole time.
Just real quick on that. If you know, because kids are with you roughly 9 to 12. So if you like need to leave right away one day and you don't stay till 12:30 every day, that's okay, because trust me, chances are you're putting in that time somewhere else. So just every day, just figure 8:30 to 12:30. We want you there probably by 8:30ish. You don't want to be walking with the kids. But as far as like leaving and stuff go, don't panic if you're like, 8:35 to 12:25 or something like that. It's okay.
Actually, I didn't get one of those scheduling sheets.
Like this one?
Yep.
Oh.
So we'll use that to go straight into kind of like what the day is, and everybody got this of a kind of a potential class 1 and class 2 schedule. It will be the same for both elementary and the high school. The only difference is really the credit recovery, because you guys are just doing the online program, whereas the other ones are doing kind of the math and the reading and having the opportunity for a break. So what that kind of looks like is we do ask that you get to the gym area for elementary. For junior high, high school, it's going to be likely, we haven't confirmed what space we're kind of doing attendance in yet, but that's on our notes. But you'll get there to kind of collect your students. Elementary, it's going to be a lot bigger of a deal because there are significantly more students. So right now for session 1, we have 95 students that are set up for session A. And so you'll come in 8:45, we'll have lanyards for the students that will be available to kind of help take attendance. It'll say what their classroom is. It'll also coordinate how they are getting home for the day, which you guys don't necessarily have to worry about, but for us, it'll say whether they're parent pickup, bus, those kind of items. And then you'll take attendance, and then you will head to your classroom. Before you head to the classroom, we're gonna have a bin or a cart that we're gonna take lunches. Unfortunately, this is the first year since we've had the program that we do not have Connecting Kids to Meals. So our students will be packing lunches for this. Community Learning Centers will be providing breakfast still, but lunches will be packed. So we're gonna kind of collect those so that way we can have them ready to go when they come into the lunch area later in the afternoon. And then breakfast you'll grab kind of on your way to the classroom, and then we'll have somebody come in around with milks for you guys. And then once you guys are in the classroom, that's gonna be definitely more, Mark is gonna talk about the curriculum piece, and I've already heard people kind of working together about reading and math and those kind of items, but you'll be doing that for the first half of the day. Then there is a break, and your students, this is the opportunity to, you do restroom breaks, to go outside and have some kind of break outside, outdoor enrichment pieces. And then when you come back in, you'll be going back to the curriculum piece. When you're outside, make sure, the students are still in your kind of ownership. So making sure that you're keeping an eye on them, that you guys are staggering your bathroom breaks so not all 95 students are using the same bathroom at the same time. And we'll kind of get that flow, and we'll have people here available to assist with that process. And then at the end of the day, CLC takes over. We have program assistants that come in and work from 11:45 to 3:15 when students are getting on the bus and going home at the end of the day. So as we're kind of doing those transitions, making sure that you're communicating with the afternoon staff about any types of, attendance if somebody's out, if there's any behaviors, injuries, illnesses, anything like that. So that way we're kind of prepped for the afternoon and those expectations. Any questions on kind of that daily schedule, general?
comment.
Yeah.
It's very important in the morning that you guys are there in the gym to assist. So like once you get here, go up to the classroom, get yourself settled, and then when you're ready, if you can make it back down to the gym by 8:45. In the morning, we don't have program assistants working like we do in the afternoon. Though they don't get here until 11:45 to switch over with you guys. And so it'll just be Miss Sophia and one other PA, and one is going to be doing bus duty, and one's going to do car pickup. And so when those kids start flowing in, Sophia will send those kids to the gym. So we need to make sure that there's teachers in the gym ready for them, greeting them, helping them get in their lines. I know on the first day, like we typically have lots of tears because of the fact that like all of our fresh kindergartners coming in who've never even been to school yet, like just getting them acclimated and situated, like be prepared for the first day if possible to be there a little earlier than the 8:45 because it's new for everyone. And then once you guys get the routine of things, you'll be able to walk down and know, oh, this is when the kids trickle in and stuff like that. But just keep that in your mind that we don't have staff in the gym at that time. And so in that time frame in the morning, we'll really need your guys' assistance to help, keep the kids in line and get them situated and figure out where they're going. You guys will have like classroom signs that you'll be able to hold that will also, you can use to like mark the floors. So they'll line up for grade levels based off of classrooms. So the left-hand side will start off as kindergarten, and the older kids will be on the opposite end by the restrooms. And so just to keep that in mind on the first day to kind of help Miss Sophia and Miss Rylan out in the morning. So, and then you guys will take attendance and walk the kids to the classroom. So.
Just curious, have you guys, I just thought of this, put thought into that for Caden and at the junior senior high?
Mm-hmm.
Like if it'll be, just go straight to their rooms to do attendance, or will there be a gathering place? And we can help
We're
with
thinking
that.
it's probably going to go straight to the room. The first day we would like to do a gathering space, and
Sure.
so I think we had it on our list of things to talk to you about
Okay.
of where we want to gather that first day, just so we can kind of set expectations and that sort of thing.
Yep.
But typically it'll be more headed to the classroom. But Kate will be at that door just to kind of greet people as they're coming in and that sort of thing. Yeah. Any other questions on kind of schedule piece? In people who got folders, there are rosters in there. Those are kind of tentative rosters. We did some placing initially. We did allow for a few more students to register the last couple days. So I think those rosters are as of Monday, and we still let people in for a couple of extra days. So those will get adjusted. We're gonna actually, for the elementary, we'll take your folders back and have them fully prepped for you and ready on your first day, just because there have been some changes. There are also some students that we're just making sure are going to be able to function and do well in the program. So those adjustments are still coming. Additionally, the incoming fourth graders, there's not rosters in your guys's, and that's because we were still working with the school. They're still kind of deciding how they want to break those students up. Where the other ones were a little bit more randomly assigned between the two classrooms, the fourth graders were being a little bit more intentional because that is the focus of that third grade guarantee, especially for session A. And then, I feel like I had something else to say about that. And then there are also, we collect information with the registration, so there's also information, anything on the sheet that says like allergies, asthma, behaviors, medications, that's everything that the parent disclosed to us at the time of registration. And that's just for the students in your classes.
Can I ask a question?
No.
Do we have a designated date for the Terra Nova or OSC
Yes.
when we have those?
Yes. She jumped ahead a little bit of me.
Sorry.
That's okay. So we do have, just so you know, for different reasons, we have to kind of progress monitor our students. So grades 3, 4, and 5, 3 and up, we use the STAR test. It's pretty simple to use. We'll send out directions on how to do that. Kids can access it pretty easily through their Chromebooks. The younger grades, K1, 2, it's DIBELS testing, and we have reading specialists who will come in the last few days to help you, or to actually do the testing. It's one-on-one, so we don't expect you guys to do that. Terry and Tricia will come in and do that. As far as students going into fourth grade, so our current third graders, who, many of which need additional opportunities to pass the third grade reading guarantee. The Terra Nova is scheduled for June 26th, and it's paper pencil. And then the OST retake is scheduled for the 2 days after that. So the 27th and 28th.
So they don't take it in the second session? Okay.
Correct. It's only available at the end of June. So we're still working with a few families to understand that, and we want them to be in attendance the first session. Some have signed up for second session, and they're like, oh, we'll come in just for the testing, but that kind of defeats the purpose of the intervention.
And that's why the first session, we have, in class I looked about 40 fourth grade, or about to go into fourth graders, and that's because we're really trying to hit that third grade guarantee.
Yeah, and there's little nuances too. 24, I think last I looked, have yet to meet the third grade reading guarantee, but we also benefit from scoring proficient, and we benefit from, passing the third grade reading guarantee using the OST versus the Terra Nova. So those little tricks that we're trying to play with the state.
Do you want to talk about curriculum since
Sure.
we're just talking?
So I do. So I kind of have everything mapped out that I will share with you. In one of my initial emails, I had said like, hey, we have summer school scholastic program available. That is still the case for most of you, at least as an option. A few things that we're trying to improve a little bit is kind of our intervention that we provide at Rossford, kind of the flow of everything. So again, I will share this out with you. Don't panic if you don't get to write something down. Kindergarten, right now we have kind of a summer packet of scholastic materials. It's meant for kids going into kindergarten. It's kind of meant to be done at home with parents, but we had so few pick it up last year. We decided, you know what, we'll use that here at summer school. So there isn't like a teacher guide, but it's pretty self-explanatory. There is like, for each little book and worksheet and activity that goes with it, there's some explanation that goes there. And we are waiting for a scholastic kit to come in. Hopefully that does arrive, and again, it'll come with a teacher manual and everything. The kids will have copies of little books to follow along with you. Math is still being worked on as well because we shifted math. That is one we kind of shifted because since many of our students are in intervention, for example, if they're a kindergarten now going into first grade, we decided, you know what, they probably still need help with kindergarten level material. So that kind of shifted some things. So kindergarten, sorry, you're kind of the ones that are a little bit in limbo right now. Those of you teaching kids coming into first grade, you're going to see, I'm going to tell you a little bit, there's stuff out in the hallway. There's going to be a manual for Heggerty, phonemic awareness. Anybody heard of Heggerty? That there's a summer option that was new this year. They made free available to us. If you look at it and you want to try it out, great. We really appreciate that. If you look at it and go, whew, I don't think I can handle that this year, that's okay too. Another new thing that we purchased to try out this year, Foundations, which is our phonics program that we use. They came out with a summer option for some grades. So you'll see a manual and a student edition of that program as well. Literally like an hour and a half ago, that came to my office, 2 hours ago probably. It was delivered to my office, so I brought over. I haven't really had a good chance to dig through it. Again, take a look at it. If you're like, yeah, this is something I think I can do, great. If not, the normal option that I've told you about is there's a scholastic series of books and a teacher manual to walk you through that. And then for math, it's called Scholar Zone for kindergarten, and you'll see that out there as well. Second grade, guess what? It's actually, so for kids going into second grade, it's the exact same thing. There's a Heggerty summer option, there's a Foundations option, there's the good old Scholastic option, and for math, it's the Scholar Zone option, which is also Scholastic. Before I forget, we do have a few things on order, because from year to year, last year was the first year we used some of those programs, Scholastic, I should say. And so we do have some things being ordered right now. Worst case scenario, if something doesn't come in as far as like a teacher edition or manual, hopefully you have enough to make copies from if you need to make copies from once you're here. Kids going into third grade, Scholastic are your two things. It's called Lit Camp and Scholar Zone again. So you'll see those out there. Kids going into fourth grade. So this is that big group of kids because of the third grade reading guarantee. Guess what? There is a Scholastic Lit Camp. But first session, we would like you to spend some time on test prep. So we do have roughly 30 test prep books that are available out there for you to use with students. They can write in. There's teacher manuals as well to go with that. I am also going to share out a Google folder with those teachers affected with some test prep materials. The big thing is to kind of just expose them to more questions and passages from the state test and have them practicing writing out answers. I think 3 of the 4 teachers doing that are current elementary teachers. So if, I can't remember off the top of my head, sorry, who the other person is. If you need to go to them or myself, to kind of like ask for some help or whatever, that's totally fine. Kids going into 5th grade, it's back to Scholastic. And then one thing that they add, I'm sorry about that 4th grade and 5th grade, Dynamath. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's like little Scholastic magazines that focuses on math topics, and there's questions and stuff in there. There's teacher manuals as well for those. Kids going into 6th grade, same thing, all Scholastic. 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, all Scholastic things. So I could have made that a lot shorter. So again, you'll see teacher editions. For those of you teaching kids coming into 7th, 8th, and 9th grade at the junior, senior high, yours are in, I put some sample books for you and some fancy Panera Bread paper bags out there. I try to give you a copy of every novel that's available to you, the teacher editions, a copy of like the Dynamath magazines, because the boxes of things are over in my office, soon to be Caden's office eventually. He'll get some space over there. So that way you weren't lugging things back and forth. So you'll see a paper bag that says entering 7th grade. Now I will say, please give first shot at looking at the materials to whoever's teaching the first session. And then we'll work on making sure the second session people get access. Credit recovery is really easy. It's GradPoint online. So that's pretty simple there. There's no real materials to worry about. So a few general notes. First session teacher gets material priorities. Some cases we might have enough extra that we could give session 2 some materials to look at. Otherwise what we'll do, there's like a week and a half roughly between session A and session B. So we'll work to make sure we collect everything after session A is done, have everything available. That way if somebody teaching session B wants to swing by and pick up the materials, we'll have that ready to go.
Can you clarify on STAR? Is there going to be a pre and post test or just post?
Just post, because we're going to use end of year STAR and DIBELS data from the school year.
And then other side note, for Chromebook logins or for younger grades, you might want to have a list of codes.
Yeah. Our IT department works pretty hard. The kids should be very familiar with using either the iPads or Chromebooks. They'll have carts available in all the classrooms. Kids get on there and use it. And then pretty much once they log in, they get into Clever, which gives them access to whether it be STAR or IXL or anything like that. Okay. I already kind of mentioned that some materials were still waiting to come in. If you have questions about actual curriculum, like what you're going to be teaching with or how you're going to teach something, please reach out to me. When it comes to things like, oh, I'm worried about having enough colored pencils or scissors or something, that's more Hillary and the CLC. And they try to do a really good job of making sure all those basic supplies are available. Couple of just other generic notes. Some things we learned from last year. We allow some of our teachers, especially if you have smaller groups, you're like, you know what, I really like teaching math, and the other teacher really likes teaching reading, so I'm going to do 2 math, and they're going to do 2 reading, we're just going to flip-flop that. That's okay, however, it doesn't necessarily apply to that situation, but I will say this. Always make sure the adults assigned to a grade level are working with kids. So if for some reason you end up with a really small group, sometimes it happens at the junior high and certain grade levels at the elementary, and you're like, oh, that one teacher can handle it. I need you to stay in the room with them because any extra help is a benefit. So even if there's like 8 kids in there and 2 adults, that's okay. We really want you to try and be in there with the kids at all times. When it comes to student breaks, I used to teach summer school years ago at Springfield. Trust me, I probably took advantage of this. Oh, we're going to have a little bit longer of a recess today. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes the kids have earned it or whatever, but please try to stick to the time limits that are given to you. Otherwise, we end up with like 100 kids on, well, the playground's another story. 200 kids out there playing around, and it just becomes too chaotic. And then one thing I should mention is our playground is being expanded this year. And so there's a good chance that the old part of the playground at some point this summer will be off limits. It kind of depends on where they end up putting the heavy machinery and everything. So we'll work with Hillary and the COC to keep you in the loop. Worst case scenario, we work out a gym rotation, and we'll still give you access to a break outside of the classroom if possible. But just be aware that the actual playground and equipment might be limited. So maybe we get more soccer balls and we go over to the soccer fields or the track or something like that.
And didn't we already talk about using the art rooms as well?
Oh, I wasn't part of that conversation.
I think we had an email
Our
going,
rooms
right?
is
That
going
was
to
for
be
CLC.
for CLC.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh,
So our regular start
Oh.
program.
CRT
So
program.
for those of you who don't know, our summer academy here at the elementary, right now I said 95, I think, registered. For the STARS program, which will also be running at the same time, we have an additional 100 students registered. So there'll be approximately 200 students total in the building kind of during these times.
And they'll all be using the gym, the playground, and the cafeteria. So.
I already said I will share out this kind of chart with the curriculum on there. When you go, because trust me, it confuses me. It continues to confuse me. It confuses Price even sometimes. Okay, so when you go out there and you're gonna look at your pals, we're not saying take material. Don't take the boxes with you, or whatever. But if you want to kind of go through and like, oh, I want to take a teacher edition and maybe a copy of the student edition to have with me to start claiming, totally fine. Just try to pay careful attention to what the signs say as far as what grade it's entering. Because like I said earlier, you might see a grade K math box and it's under entering first grade. That's on purpose because of that shift. Okay, so try, not to like destroy things out there and start to get confused, because you will get confused really quickly if you're like me. And like I said, sorry, kindergarten teachers, there are some things out there for you to look at and take for sure, but we also are working on more things coming in. Questions on curriculum? Yes.
Last year when I did his entry in fifth grade,
Yeah.
the books were too much. And so I just adjusted. Do you want me to do my own thing again or take the books for?
You can still adjust. We really debated on that for a long time because we ended up doing that for math. For ELA, we debated for a long time because you're right, it is challenging, but then it's like at the same time, we want to keep up the rigor. It wasn't until a few days ago that we finally kind of were like, you know what, let's keep the ELA where it was at. But if you need to, within your own, adjust a little bit, that's fine. But you'll still have access to I believe, the same books that you did last year for ELA.
Do I have access to the grade below?
If
Or
you
not?
want to work with it, especially, are you second session again? First. Check to see who that is, because I'm sure you probably could kind of work together to make some tweaks, or like, hey, can I use that book to do a couple weeks on? And if they're not, sure. Well,
If I used it because they're going forward into, right?
If you
Right,
were
it'd be the
another
ones-
set of materials for that fourth grade level, plus there were extra in there. So I think that there are 16 days of summer academy, and is Juneteenth celebrated
That is
as
a
a
holiday
day.
that is recognized
holiday.
and that you're off.
So that will eliminate the number of sets of books that you're using. So Muck, there are extra books that we will never use. So maybe some of
For
those.
now, I'll just take one I want to look at it and see
Yeah.
if it would be better than what I have.
And I'm kind of glad you mentioned that, because even when I was going through and if you taught last year, I'm sure you did this, as I can tell from the usage of the books, there might be 5-6 titles available. Some are shorter titles that you can get through in a day or two, but there's usually at least 1 or 2 novel options, or for the older grades at least, that say it could take, a good 2 weeks maybe of the instruction?
We didn't have any in our level.
None that long, okay. So don't feel like you have to get through everything that the teacher manual says, not at all. Feel free to go through and kind of say, oh, I'm gonna take this lesson out and I'm gonna do this instead. That's totally fine. Our big thing was just to give you resources so that you didn't have to go out and create a bunch of your own. So, any other questions that you can think of right now? Okay. I'm sure others will come up once you start to look at things. Like I said, before you leave today, They're out here just outside the library on a bench. And they're still in boxes, but the boxes are open. So like I said, feel free to kind of dig through, take a copy of the books that you want to start looking at.
Jeff, I see you're here. Well, I don't know how long you're staying. I didn't know if you want to say anything while you're standing here.
So Jeff Taylor, elementary principal. I know a lot of you. This is Mrs. Heck. She's assistant principal. We're both here in and out of the summer. Many days we're here, but we do take some vacation days, just to mental health. But a lot of days we're available to help if you need anything, discipline, and that kind of thing. We're more than willing to help you out. So just let us know. And do we have the spreadsheet with everyone's email and cell phone and all that kind of thing?
I have it. I can send it to you. I didn't have everybody's phone number, so we collected that today, and then I'll add it to it, and then I'll share it.
Great.
Yeah.
We can put our number down there too if they need to get hold of
Okay,
us.
perfect. We can definitely do that. And we'll have it available on your guys' birthdays as well, so that way you have everybody else. I know that there are a few people who have like days off and that sort of thing. Mark, I think you actually have most of the subbing signed right
I haven't
now.
been back to that in a while because I know a couple things changed, like who was available to sub or whatever. So I'm going to go back and revisit. If you put on that weeks ago for most of you when you fill out that form and you were like, oh, I'm taking a family vacation the last week of June, I immediately try to go and see who's available to sub and plug into that position. So I will go back and do that. And if something has come up since you filled out that form, again, just email that to me. Like even if it's just like a couple days that you know you will not be available, we'll try to get pre-planned subs. If it comes up, you want to talk about if they get, they're sick the morning of or the night before, how you're going to handle that.
Yeah, if it's, more of that, rather than the vacation, if it's more the individual, you'll contact Sophia, which her contact information is in there, and then she'll coordinate with the people that we have on the sub list and calling and trying to figure out who we're gonna kind of fit in there. But yes, if it's more the individual, it'll be the site coordinator. I feel like we're talking very elementary heavy because we're in this space, but for middle school, high school, it will be Kate, or junior, senior.
Yeah.
It'll be Kaden, and then so it'll be the site coordinator for whichever site. And then I know that we're also, we're talking about kind of that 8:30 to 12:30 or your guys' times here. In terms of just like the students, so you know what to expect. Elementary students will be arriving either parent pickup or parent drop off or by bus. And that they'll be arriving around that kind of 8:45 time. We have the 9 to 12 scheduled. And then after that, for the elementary, they stay here in the building and we do social emotional learning and STEM activities with them and additional outdoor enrichment. And then we do lunch and then they head home around 3 o'clock. They get on those buses. For the junior, senior high school, it's just that 9 to 12 time. So they will come either driving themselves or parent drop off or by bus transportation. And then at the end of the day, they will be leaving the same way.
And everybody at the junior, senior high, kid-wise, should be, first day is hit or miss, but buses or whatever will be the main entrance by the office. So no bus loop or anything like that.
There are a couple parents who have reached out of the younger of those high school or junior high who have like football conditioning or other sports where they're communicating that they might be coming in a little bit late on a couple days a week. So we'll make sure that we communicate that with those people that I think they're going to be coming in at 10 a.m. rather than 9 a.m. because they have that conditioning and practices. Just things to kind of be aware of. This is again here, we just talked about the Juneteenth. So we are closed on Monday, June 19th. And then that break between session A and session B is the week of 4th of July. So I think that's the 3rd through the 7th. Summer Academy will be closed as well.
Do you have the session dates, Andy?
What is it, the session dates? June 5th to 29th.
Yep.
And then July 10th to August 3rd. I've looked at that a few times.
And yeah, so it's that break between the week, but then those are the other ones. And that coordinates also with STARS here. So it's the same, except that they're also open on Fridays. So other things that we kind of communicate to families, especially for elementary, we're asking students to wear closed-toed shoes just because we do a lot of other activities in the afternoon. Asking them to communicate with us if they're going to be late so that way we can meet them at the doors. And then we also give them a sunscreen form, because it is Ohio Department of Ed, their licensing, considers sunscreen medication. So if anybody brings that in, we'll coordinate that, just for, it's, again, mostly the afternoon is when we have kind of those longer outside times. Let's see. We will be, like Mark said, we'll be providing basic supplies in your classrooms, but if you need anything else, just let us know and we can get that for you. Business casual still in terms of dress, short sleeves or dress tank tops are okay, but just be mindful, we're still in a school setting. Facilities, the bus loop doors will open for staff at 8, is that still correct? That was last year's numbers.
We can double check with our maintenance staff.
Okay,
That should be fine.
And then we also have Jackson Taylor coming in again this year for technology purposes. And then kindergarten, incoming kindergarten, we have Safety Town is the first week. So there's potential that students will be attending that rather than coming to Summer Academy. I think that's everything I have. Taylor, did you have anything that I missed there?
Well, I'm just having a lot of random thoughts from prior years. Sorry, guys. A couple like random things to keep in mind is that when you guys are in the classrooms, teaching the students, Sophia and Rylan are going to be in the office, and they're the ones who are going to be like calling parents, helping with injury forms, discipline forms, prepping for things in the afternoon. So by all means, if something is popping off in your classroom and you need assistance, the first thing you're going to do is type in Sophia's extension, which is just the CLC office, or call her cell phone or the site phone, and she'll be able to come assist. If it's a behavioral issue or an injury or anything like that. You guys are also going to be getting like mini first aid baggies to keep in your room or on you if you want to like attach them to a clipboard or whatever you want to do with them. So you can handle those little things by yourself. But when it comes to like bigger things, we're gonna have to fill out an injury form. And it's pretty self-explanatory, but Sophia might have a couple questions for you because anything that is a head, neck, or back injury, Sophia has to call home for and relay the message to the parents. Hey, Johnny just fell on the playground and he hit his head, he's okay, but it's our policy that we call you. So if anything does happen like that, head, neck, back, face, make sure you let Miss Sophia know right away so that way she can go ahead and call home to a parent. Any type of like parent communication will come through her. So, if you have a big behavioral issue in the classroom that day, maybe Johnny's refusing to do homework and, he's picking on someone else or anything like that, that needs to make sure that the message gets relayed to Sophia so that way she can write a discipline if it needs to come that far. And she's going to be the one talking to the parents in the parent pickup line. So anything like that, make sure you're, passing on those messages to Sophia or to our program assistants so that way they can, talk to our parents in the afternoon and help the kiddos who are struggling in the morning. The other thought I was having too is breakfast is obviously different this year as you heard. And so we're still trying to figure out like if we're going to deliver all the milks to the classrooms or if you guys are going to pick up milks on your way through, or we're kind of getting that worked out. It might be trial and error. But more than likely your paper products are already going to be waiting in your room for you. We'll have a whole tub of spoons to use throughout the session A and session B. Same thing with cups, same thing with napkins, anything like that. So that'll all be waiting for you in your classroom, but if you need refills on any of those items, just make sure you're communicating with Miss Sophia, so that way, we can get you more of that. And I'm sure we'll keep you updated on breakfast, and this goes for Hayden too, because he'll be doing the same exact thing in the junior high school. So just remember, like, they're there to help you guys in the morning, and they're gonna be the ones just kind of floating around, ready to help. So by all means, make sure you're using them and communicating with them heavily. And don't let kids put cereal down the drains in the classrooms. Yeah, that's a big one. So
More milk in their water bottles.
Yeah, STEM activities, some of them won't be, or not being used. So it's kind of a half and half because we won't need as many. And so you guys will have wipes in there. So just kind of wipe down your tables, make sure there's no trash on the floor. And then take your trash bag, tie it up, and set it in the hallway. And then either our staff or the custodians will come through and collect it and put it in the big bins. So just make sure you're not leaving the classroom a mess, which we know you won't. And always check your sinks, so nothing gets nasty over there throughout the night. But I think that's all I have. Just what's up?
Will our rooms be cleaned if they're being used in the afternoon?
Yes, so it's on our program assistants. Like, our program assistants have one of these as well. I know the activities that they're doing in the afternoon are a lot more hands-on. They, involve weird things. They're going to be doing that a lot outside this summer instead, because we kind of heard about some of the messy things that happened last year. And so we're fully prepared not to do them in the gym or in the classrooms this year. But they are in charge of making sure that they clean up after themselves. If they are not, by any reason, and something goes wrong, make sure you're communicating with these two, so that way we're talking to the program assistants about, properly cleaning up. Or if you find out like kids are touching things that they're not supposed to or anything like that, please let us know. So we'll also be in charge of making sure the bathrooms are not a disaster at the end of the night. Toilets are flushed. So.
Real quick, Safety Town is actually the second week this year.
Second week, sorry.
I think last year it was the first week though.
Okay, it's a question.
I have two questions. So attendance, by virtue of us not picking up a name tag because the student is not there, is Sophia then tallying attendance and making phone calls home if we see a pattern developing?
Yes, so what's gonna happen is, if you guys were with us last year, we have hangers, and then each grade will have a hanger with color-coded lanyards. So like yellow will be bus A, blue will be bus B, or out-of-town city, or whatever they wanna call it, country and town. And then we'll have a stars lanyard if they're going to stars afterwards, or if they'll have a different color if they're going to parent pickup. And so when the kids arrive and we're getting them into groups, you will be passing out those lanyards. It helps you guys learn names, it helps us learn names, and that way we don't lose a kid. 2 summers ago, we had a kid who did not know his name, and we put him on the bus, and I will never forget getting cussed out by that mom. And he kept telling me that his name was Jonathan. I'll never forget it. His name was not Jonathan. And he was like a 3rd grader. So now we do name tags and lanyards. So that doesn't happen. But it'll also help you because whatever's left on the hanger is your absent kids. So then what you'll do is Sophia or Rylan will come around and say, who are you missing today? Check, check, check. Perfect. Who are you missing today? And they'll go through all the lines to make sure we know. A lot of times the parents are relying messages of, hey, we know it's Summer Academy, but we're on vacation this week. Sorry, we're camping. And so Sophia will be able to track attendance the whole time, same thing with Kaden. But if we notice like it's the 3rd day of Summer Academy and they still haven't showed up, they'll be calling and figuring that out. So just, keep us updated, but they have to plug it into a whole system, so we'll be able to see a pattern, but by all means, keep us updated. So.
And I know that we had gotten some feedback last year that kind of towards the end of the session or towards the end of session B that lanyards might have gotten misplaced or, ran away, flew away. So we are also going to give you just a sheet for just your classroom so you could also check it off that way. But we'll be coordinating kind of the huge everybody attendance. But if it's easier rather than the lanyard, we'll have attendance.
Some of you guys in your folders have examples of those. It'll say who's your kids on top and then like the notes for the day. And then it'll also help you, like if you need to hand it over to the program assistants when you guys are switching places, that'll help you remember like, oh, hey, Johnny had a really rough day today. He was pretty squirrely. And so that'll help as well. Because when you hand your kids off to the program assistants, that's huge for you guys to communicate, who did really good today, who is struggling today, and so on and so forth. So make sure you don't like walk out and just drop the kids off. There's the gym, see ya. Make sure you're handing them over to the assigned program assistant. They'll be there for both sessions and communicate with them. So.
My second question.
Cindy Miller.
Who's laughing? What's going on?
No walk, Michael. Peace out.
Was that
So
you?
we know who to watch out for.
Yeah, there we go.
Are we doing raffle tickets or anything like we did last summer?
Oh.
Our big behavior. Remember they did a raffle.
Did they?
I
Oh,
think
the
it's
Astronaut of the Week. Okay, yes.
Space Cadet of the Week. Our
Yes.
theme is like spacey. If you notice, there's kind of some.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So
So-
one per week.
Yeah, so it's not going to be a raffle, so to speak. It'll be maybe on your guys' attendance sheets in the notes section, you can like vote for someone. But we're gonna have one student, is it a day or a week?
I think it's a week. Space Cadet of the week, yeah.
One Space Cadet of the week who earns a prize.
We can also provide you guys, we do like good news notes and things like that, so we can provide you with some of those sheets. And if you wanna fill those out, then we'll, kind of, when we group together in the afternoon, we read those off, and do like a smaller prize than the Space Cadet of the week. And then we also send those home for parent feedback and that sort of thing.
So the second question, if you're teaching session 2, are we turning in today's meeting hour now or when we do a timesheet for session 2?
Now.
Okay, and
Yep.
is that week 1 or week 2? Again, I apologize. Could you
It'll
repeat
be,
that?
this is week 1.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you guys will
If
fill
you
it
have
out.
all of your hiring stuff in, if you don't, then let us know and we can attach it to a later one.
I'm sorry, say that.
If you
oh,
have all like your hiring paperwork in, if you don't have it all ready to go, then we can add it to a later one, but we'll kind of coordinate that.
Are we not using Red Rover like we did last year?
No,
If
you
you
do
guys-
not have to mess with that this year. We handle that for you. Trust me, that was not fun. So.
Ignore the emails the county sent us.
Yep. Yep, you don't even have to mess
We
with it.
changed it, so, I don't know how much you guys know about CLC, but we, have 10 different sites at different locations, and so when they started this program last year, they were kind of more, thinking about other Wood County education, departments that just had a few people, and they were having enter it, because we have so many staff across all of our, different programs, we
Yeah.
actually have our site supervisors,
Yeah.
do all of the timesheets for you guys, so that way it kind of goes through the checking process rather than having to do it through that system.
So every time it's bi-weekly, and so Sophia will be able to remind you and help you kind of keep that on that schedule. But when you fill out your timesheet for those 2 weeks and turn it into Sophia, like you have to drop it off and turn it in. Because if you miss your deadline, we may not be able to go back. You might have to wait until the next paycheck. And so like the first week, Sophia and Kaden will be there to remind you guys, hey, timesheets are due today, you know. But by week 3 or 4, you know, just keep, if you need to put it on your schedule or whatever you do to try to remember, we probably won't be tracking down as much timesheets as we did prior. So just make sure you guys turn them in. So this is, if it helps you, next week is a payday week. So then we can follow the schedule after that. Maybe Hillary can send something out.
I feel like there was a question over here. Any other questions?
Oh, comment. If you go on vacation or if you were gone that week, please remember to turn your timesheet in before you leave.
Anything else, Mark, on your end?
No.
Well, thank you guys all for coming. Please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Mark if you have any questions. And we will make sure that we have everything ready for you on that first day with rosters and supplies. Like you said, there is the curriculum pieces outside if you want to kind of take a look at those. All right,
Thank you all.
Thank you.